From London, England, where the Queen lives.
Recorded live from an underground bunker and packaged into an MP3 with a pretty little picture. Helping to kickstart your day with the motivation and inspiration you need 365 days a year. This is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. And this is your host, Chris Jaggs.
Good morning and welcome to the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. My name is Chris Jaggs, host, producer, director and creator of the Learn, Develop, Live method. I want to help you identify that pain you have, the issue that's just niggling at you, develop an incredible new habit to tackle it, and then, wait for it, you are going to go and smash it right out of the park and live your life, not better, but on a much higher level, because you are set for greatness. We just need to get you on the right track and on the path to that. And once you get yourself moving in that right direction, wow, you are going to be grateful that you believed enough in yourself and gave yourself that chance to fulfill your true potential. On the episode today, I want to talk to you why you shouldn't try and fix something that isn't broken, but look at maybe helping it evolve instead. The episode idea came from watching the brand new remake of The Witches, starring Anne Hathaway and Octavia Spencer. Seeing how big the original film was, I think from 1990, when news of the remake was announced, there was some big hype about it. Now, right before we get into this, let's have those important messages and dive right in.
The Learn, Develop, Live podcast.
3, 2, 1.
Come on.
Volumes up.
Bringing you some sunshine.
Sunshine. Let's go.
Through your speakers.
The Learn, Develop, Live podcast.
The milk goes all chocolatey.
More delicious than a bowl full of Cocoa Pops.
Welcome back. Now, I'm not in the game of spoilers, but you haven't seen the film yet and you're planning to, maybe skip the next few minutes. So I'll give you a few seconds to see what you're going to do. I could have really done with some elevator music or something. Do. But if you have no interest at all, hey, let's just get into it. Now, you've probably heard the saying, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, or some kind of variant of that. Many people are apprehensive about change because it does pose a risk, and the risk that, this new endeavour may well fail. But there are some reasons to actually embrace change. The most important ones are innovation and progress. Now, if we start talking about movies, the term remake is a Hollywood executive's favourite word. Almost as long as movies have been made, there have been directors, producers and writers just waiting to reboot the hell out of anything that ever hits the theatres. The big question is, why? Well, sometimes, just sometimes, it actually does work. Now, without the original 1932 Scarface, audiences would never be able to see the later 1983 masterpiece starring Al Pacino. The same goes for Ocean's 11, Jungle Book, The Departed and other Hollywood gems. If you dig deep enough into movie history, you'll see that many successful films are actually just polished off versions of their former past. But lately, it seems to have been a growing trend of remaking big budget movies that feel like they were just in the movie theatre. Remember the whiplash you felt when Spider-Man got the reboot treatment with Andrew Garfield, just 5 years after Tobey Maguire's star turn? The same goes for the two different versions of the Hulk. One film in 2003, the next just 5 years later in 2008. Now, according to the data blog, The Droid You're Looking For, 122 remakes have been released between 2003 and 2012. Now, the average critic score of these films on Rotten Tomatoes, just 46%, whereas the original films had a median score of 78% or so. Critical prestige is low, but the box office, it's overflowing. The total box office gross of all these remakes was starting $12 billion. Studios make back-to-back remakes for a whole host of reasons, chief amongst them security and bankability. Now, movies that will pass hits are easy financial wins for the future. See, there's already a guaranteed built-in audience and a better chance for publicity when it comes to familiar films. But now, more than ever, studios are becoming dependent on past franchises. So let's talk about the recently released The Witches and just why, in my opinion and many others, it was just so disappointing. The film is a bit of a confusing mess, and it just lacks any sort of magic and finesse of the original film, and is centred around a performance by Anne Hathaway as the lead, which is, well, ridiculously over the top and just kind of falls flat of the original film. Now, I really like Anne Hathaway, and this is probably the first film she's involved in which just wasn't for me. Now, the biggest offenders in the film are definitely the special effects, or to be precise, the abuse of special effects. The first version of The Witches worked and was scary because everything looked real. Everything in this movie is CGI and looks so fake that it just has no real impact, all played for laughs or cheap jokes. The animation of the animals is awful, and when the witches open their mouths fully, well, they kind of just look like Venom from Spider-Man. The film features the witches as having 3 long fingers on each hand, rather than the claw-like hands with 5 fingers described in Roald Dahl's book. The portrayal of the witch's hands is similar to the limb abnormality ectrodactyly, and hopefully I've said that right. Now, otherwise, this is known as split hand, which, in the absence of 1 or 2 central digits either on the hand or on the foot. Viewers of the film were quick to notice this and also sparked massive backlash from the disability community, with many feeling that the portrayal was extremely insensitive towards those with disabilities. This even prompted a hashtag #NotAWitch to trend on Twitter. Now, both Warner Brothers and Hathaway herself responded to the criticism with apologies to those who may have been offended. Now, any of those things could happen in any film, and sadly, it will no doubt happen again. Would the world be better off with a remake of The Witches? Well, some people will love it. It gave the people the opportunity to work, and we know what employment's like in the world right now, and this could happen to any film. But another question is, does every film have a test audience? If you can think of the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie that came out, I think last year, images of what Sonic the Hedgehog would actually look like were released. This suffered massive backlash. I mean, it didn't look like the Blue Hedgehog at all. But the feedback was taken on board and Sonic was fixed up, and it set the film back a few months, but isn't it better to have the best version of the film out there? Now, sometimes you should just leave things alone and go and make something brand new instead. Now, the other alternative is obviously to look at the idea, product or service, or whatever it is you've got out there, and just see how you can improve and build on it, and how you can help it evolve into something even better. So moving away from films, when we talk about helping something evolve, the first thing I think of, innovator I think of, is Arsene Wenger. If you're a football fan, you'll know who Arsene Wenger is, and as an Arsenal fan, as frustrating as it can be, you will also know just how much he's done for English football, or soccer for our overseas listeners. When he first joined Arsenal from Nagoya Grampus 8, English football collectively asked, Arsene who? But he soon answered the question by winning the Premier League title 3 times, the FA Cup 4 times, as well as overseeing the move from Highbury to the Emirates, but his influence has been felt even beyond his own club. The first thing that comes to mind is the innovative training methods. Now, Wenger's first revolutionary shift occurred on the training field. Now, he earned the nickname The Professor thanks to his precise planning and his preparation. Stamina work was replaced with short burst sessions, and an emphasis was placed on close control and small-sided games. Crucial to Wenger's philosophy was the idea that almost all work should involve the ball. When he first arrived, his methods were obviously met with scepticism. Arsenal's old guard were distrustful of this unknown Frenchman. However, he ended up being credited with extending the careers of the famous back four by several years. The second thing was introducing new dietary habits. Wenger's time in Japan opened his eyes to the importance of nutrition. Looking back at his spell at Grampus 8, he said, I lived for 2 years in Japan and it was the best diet I ever had. Their diet is basically boiled vegetables, rice and fish. No fat, no sugar. Wenger believes diet is an essential part of what it calls the player's non-visible preparation. The carefully balanced menus he insisted on introducing at Arsenal have since become a standard fare throughout English football. Mars bars were taken off the list. The style of play also changed dramatically. Wenger has produced some of the most attractive football the Premier League has ever seen. His title-winning team of 2003-2004 played consistently scrumptious stuff, as they say, eating up the pitch with their quick stride and even quicker passing. Arsenal were once known as boring Arsenal, getting the first goal and sitting back. 1-0 was a very common scoreline, but they soon became everyone's favourite second team to watch. Since Wenger's arrival, the general standard of football in the league has improved, as have other clubs have sought to follow suit. Creating an invincible team was one of Wenger's biggest achievements in the top flight of football. Only Preston North End have managed to go unbeaten for a whole season back in 1888-89. In the 2003-04 season, Wenger led his Arsenal team through the entire Premier League unbeaten. They went on to go fully 49 games without losing a single match, the longest unbeaten run in the history of top-flight English football. It was an extraordinary feat, and one very unlikely to ever be repeated in Premier League era again. The team were nicknamed the Invincibles and received a special gold trophy for their magical season. There was also a big focus on the youth setup. When Arsenal moved to the Emirates Stadium in 2006, the club's spending power was really hit, as the stadium was costing around $390 million. Now, with that in mind, Wenger opted for a new policy based around youth. This was not revolutionary in itself. Sir Alex Ferguson had already experienced considerable success with his homegrown class of 92. Wenger's innovation was to be prepared to scour the entire globe for the best young talent. He filled his academy with Spanish, Frenchmen and Poles, producing the likes of Cesc Fabregas. That model has since been replicated across English football. A visit to any modern Premier League academy will turn up a whole host of foreign talent. Also, preempting the FIFA financial fair play rule may have been one of the greatest achievements that Wenger has achieved. Arsene Wenger had Arsenal operating under financial fair play before it was even a twinkle in Michel Platini's eye. He has always wanted the club to spend only the resources it was able to generate. That self-sufficient model has seen Arsenal struggle to compete with the likes of Manchester City and Chelsea. However, with income regulations, Arsenal have re-established themselves as a powerhouse. It's just the owner doesn't want to spend the money. Wenger's long-term vision has once again been rewarded. Sometimes it might be necessary to make some changes, shake things up a little bit, and there can be two good reasons why. Nothing can kill motivation as quickly as boredom and routine. If you aren't willing to make changes, it can spread. While many do not realise that we need change, as we already established, in people's mind change is automatically filled under very, very bad, the ongoing samey days will make you eventually lose interest in what you're doing. This can then either result in you becoming unproductive or becoming completely unengaged in your day. You can shake it up by changing your routine, introduce something new, learn something new, change the way of thinking. Freshen yourself up and stop gathering dust. Make your life exciting again. Enhance your innovation. There wouldn't be any innovation or progress without change. It's those who disrupt the current status quo that create brand new ideas. If you're in business, it could be improved products or services, sometimes filling a need that people aren't even aware of or even looking for. Just think of Airbnb or Uber. Give yourself the freedom to innovate and experiment and fail. The fear of failure is why most people resist change. So you need to make sure that you know you can fail. In fact, some of the best innovations are a result of supposed failures. Before I wrap this episode up, come and find some more Learn, Develop, Live motivation and inspiration over on the social media channels. If you search for Learn, Develop, Live on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn or Twitter, you can follow, you can join. Why not say hello while you're there? And also, if you'd like me to teach you the Learn, Develop, Live method to help unlock that problem or issue you have right now, come over to ldlcall.com. If you're low on confidence, you want to be more assertive. If you want to find launch your dream, book your slot on the calendar at ldlcall.com. You can start to level up today. That is everything from me. Take care of yourself, look after yourself, and I will see you in the next one.
Goodbye.
What? It's over already?
All over.
Thank you for listening to the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. I hope you feel as warm, motivated, and fuzzy inside as I do. You can connect with Chris at learndeveloplive.com or on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
I won't say goodbye. I'll just say until we meet again.
Until next time, join the motivation. Motivation.